Okay, class. Now let's talk about the requirement B. Same example. Find the average velocity of the particle from 0 to 5 seconds. So in this case, we'll show two methods and see if our answers agree. So first part, since we are a first method, since we are given the position as a function of time, then average velocity can just be determined by this definition of average velocity. This is one-dimensional along the x, is equivalent to displacement. So when you say displacement, that's the difference in position. So displacement divided by time. Okay? So this would be x final minus x initial divided by final time minus initial time. In this case, our final time is 5. So x position at final time is simply position when time is 5 seconds minus position of the particle when time is 0. Now, take note that this doesn't mean that we multiply position times 5, okay? Ibig sabihin lang nito, we are talking about x as a function of time. So, this is x when time is 5 and x when time is 0. And in this case, final time is 5. So, I can just simply say here it's t2 minus t1. So, plugging in the values, it's very simple. We already determined the value of x when time is 5. And that is, let me look at my código. So, position when time is 5, according to our table, is positive 7. So, this is 7 meters minus position when time is 0. Even if you will not look at the table, you can simply look at the value here. 0 minus 0 plus 2. So, this would be 2 meters. Final time is 5 seconds. Initial time is 0. So, that our unit is meter in the numerator and then second in the denominator. So we have here the average velocity of this particle between 0 to 5 is, you have 5 over 5, it's positive 1 meter per second. So take note that velocity is a vector quantity. So the magnitude is 1 meter per second. That's the how fast, the speed. And then the positive here is telling us that it's going towards positive x direction. Okay, now for method 2, what do you think is method 2? Okay, yes. So if we are given the graph, we've learned hopefully in the previous videos that we can actually get the slope of the secant line of your position versus time graph. But you have to be careful. Okay? Because you need to check whether it's position versus time or velocity versus time. Kasi pag velocity versus time graph, and then you get the average of the secant line, what you get is the average acceleration. Okay? So please highlight that very important concept. So for method 2, again, we say that the slope of the position versus time graph for a certain time interval, okay, this is referring to the secant line. Secant because we have a parabolic curve. Walay problema kung linear ne, kay we have a constant slope, di ba? Okay. So the slope of the secant line will be equivalent to the average velocity along the x. Okay? So, in this case, since the two time values are given to us, then that determines now the 2 points that determine our secant line. So, what do I mean by that? So, when time is 0, that would be this. You have this 2 here, 0, 2. This is now our point 1. So, if we write this in coordinates, the x-coordinate is 0 second, and then the y-coordinate is 2 meters. Okay. And then our final time value is 5, so that would be this one. This, more or less. And I'll take this as 0.2. So, by coordinates, it's 5 seconds along the x-axis. And of course, positive 7 in the y. So, if we connect this now, okay, let's connect this. So we now have a line that is secant to our curve at points 0, 2, and 5, 7. So we get the slope of this line now. We have our final y is 7. Initial y1 is 2. So this is your delta y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, 0. Obviously, we're expecting that this will give us the same value. So this is average along the x. Okay? Ayan. So if we get the percent difference now of these two values, then our percent difference would be 0. 0% difference means the two methods that we used are reliable because more or less they give you the same answer. Okay? So that's for average velocity. If in the exam or in the quiz, for example, if the problem will just say find the average velocity and then there is no specific requirement whether you use this formula or the slope, then you just choose which of these. But if there is a specific requirement that says, for example, determine the average velocity using slope, edi you don't need to show this. But you can solve this in your Scratch just to check kung yung na-solve mo using the slope formula gives you the same answer. Okay? So that's part B for the example. Part C for the next video.